Good evening, everybody across the nation, around the world, wherever you may be. This is the NECA King, and today we are in the halls of the NECA King. So welcome to season number 2 of In the Halls of the NECA King. That's right, in the halls of the NECA King. I don't just collect all this garbage. I only started collecting all this garbage in the last couple of years. What I have collected since I was literally a little kid has been music, specifically in the form of CDs and also vinyl records. So I do have a wee little collection of vinyl records, and in the halls of the NECA King, we look at those and we talk about the artists that I love and why I own a little collection of these artists. Mr. Airplane Man. Mr. Airplane Man is a band from Boston. They're not a band that a lot of people know, but if you know them, then I can trust you. I trust that you have good taste in music if you know Mr. Airplane Man, because they're one of my favorite bands. They're probably one of the best rock bands ever. No one's ever going to say that because nobody has the balls to say that. They would say something like the White Stripes. And we're going to talk about the comparison to the White Stripes, because the White Stripes basically stole these girls' style and made off with it and got millions of dollars and got put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Meanwhile, per fucking usual in the record industry, the talent gets not left behind. They didn't get left behind, but these girls deserve millions. They deserve more than just like niche notoriety. Like, oh man, you're really hip if you know that band. No, I'm sorry. These girls should have had the fucking Eras tour, okay? These girls should have had the Eras tour. These girls should have gotten the notoriety. Mr. Airplane Man is a band from Boston. Margaret Garrett and Tara McManus. And these two ladies were, in my estimation, like, I might not know the fucking history of it, okay? I'm here to deduce things from timelines. I'm just kind of deducing things from various timelines. But it seems to me like these girls may have taught the White Stripes fucking everything that they know. And the White Stripes just took it and put some kind of like stomp clap millennial fucking production on it. Ooh, it makes me so mad. I hate the fucking White Stripes so much. I hate bands from the 2010s so much. It was just like, listen to some fucking better music. Like, the American public wants this, okay? They want this, but they want it covered in sugar. It's like a McDonald's burger. Like, the American public wants a McDonald's burger, but they want it full of fucking filler. They want it jacked full of sugar, so it's so sweet you can't goddamn taste anything other than the salt. That's what they want musically, okay? They don't want a fucking, you know what they want? You know what? They don't want a fucking mushroom Swiss burger, okay? With some caramelized onions, okay? Some roasted mush. They don't want that. They want the goddamn McArch.
You've heard about it. Here it is. The Big Arch. The Big Arch.
And that's why Mr. Airplane Man didn't have an Eras tour. That's why they're appreciated as a niche act, and these girls who should be goddamn millionaires. Maybe we should talk about their music, okay?
sick and you can't get well. When you're sick and you can't get well. When you're sick and you can't get well. Call him up and tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line. Jesus on the
I discovered Mr. Airplane Man when I lived in Boston. I was in a band in Boston. Behind the scenes, I was getting to all kinds of other music that my band wasn't. And one of them was like the Delta Blues. I went, like every white person, I went through my Delta Blues phase. And when I went through my Delta Blues phase, I found very quickly the distinction between blues and blues. Okay? We talk about an important distinction, which is blues and blues. Okay? Blues is like, it's your uncle listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan and thinking that it's really fucking cool. Like, look, I like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Everybody loves Stevie Ray Vaughan, okay? If I could have a couple of drinks with Stevie Ray Vaughan, he could probably teach me a thing or fucking 50 about playing the guitar. But he plays the blues, okay? And the blues is just like a watered down, saturated, oversaturated, like elevator music style version of the actual blues. The Delta Blues, the actual blues that was played back in the day, ask somebody if they know who Skip James is. And then if they know who Skip James is, tell them to name one song other than fucking Hard Time Killing Floor Blues. Like, it's the difference between that and being like, man, dude, Eric Clapton was great in Cream. Like, don't fucking come at me with that shit, all right? I want to hear the sound of a person who's on the verge of hanging themselves. That's the fucking blues. Blues is when real artists are playing with such feeling, they're like on the edge of losing it. And you can hear it, but they never lose it. That's one of the things that people don't like about blues, is how fucking sloppy it is. That's what jazz players hate about blues. That's what you kind of come down on the jazz or the blues side. Do you like everything being uptight and like on, or do you like things on the like this guy's on beat, but he's swinging it to the point where he's going to lose it in a second, but he just manages. He's had just enough whiskey to just stay on the beat. Give me an R.L. Burnside, okay? Give me a real fucking blues player, but no, they picked the White Stripes and inducted him into the goddamn Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So let's talk about Mr. Airplane Man, because how did two white girls who started playing in like Cambridge, Massachusetts and Inman Square at like venues that I used to play at. They played at them before me. They played them when they were still cool. But these girls started off at like the Abbey Lounge. These girls, they're like fucking 10 years older than me. They started off at the Abbey Lounge and all these different places in Somerville and Cambridge, Massachusetts that my band played at. And then, we never were successful because we're a bunch of fucking talentless hacks. But it's really heartwarming to like listen back to their interviews and their story, because it takes me, they're mentioning all these people that I'm familiar with and places that I've played at and things. And it's very heartwarming. They got their start in Boston, but they traveled around. They learned like the Delta Blues from all these different people. They became this really unique type of act that was like garage rock, punk, but it was always seated in like this slide guitar blues shit. And so that like elevated it to a different style. It's just like so unique that it strikes a very, very particular chord. It's like a sweet chocolate. But let's go through album by album and talk about Mr. Airplane Man and why I like them so much and why I think they really encapsulate what actual blues is. Even though there are a couple of like white girls from fucking Cambridge, Massachusetts. I don't know where they were born. I don't know where they were actually born, but they got their start in Boston. But anyway, album by album, In the Halls of the NECA King, let's start it out. So this is their debut record, Red Light, which has songs like Johnny Johnny, Child Fell Into a Well. It's got their cover of I Want to Be Your Dog by the Stooges. An interesting intro. First of all, fucking cold ass album cover. Okay, all their album covers are like cold as fuck. I love it, but this one the most, where you have like the sort of burnt looking inversion of film on both sides. It's really hot, really hot stuff there. It's like a mushroom Swiss burger. This album is really raw. You got to kind of be coming into this, like the garage rock part of it is very heavy on this album. This is where you see their like the roots of their sound. It is not as polished as what comes later. This album, like some bands really benefit from the rough demo-like sound, and Mr. Airplane Man really benefits from like some good solid production because they're so stripped down to begin with. But understanding that this was them sort of getting their sound together, they hadn't come to the point that they were later on. But this album is definitely the rawest sounding of all of them, and it's definitely one that you know, I don't play as loudly as the other ones because it honestly, like production, it's just the production of it. It definitely has like the production of like an early band finding their way, and it's just not quite as tight. Like the performance isn't quite as tight as later. They were finding their way. So as far as debut albums go, you know, this is a good one, but this is a band that like ages as they go along, like really, really well. And some bands like come right out of the gate with the hot shit, like the best shit, and then it kind of plateaus after a while and it never really hits that again. And Mr. Airplane Man, in my estimation, is kind of the opposite. They have peaks and valleys, but they get better with each one, and they just like keep aging. Like their style keeps aging to get sweeter and tighter. It's a great place to start off from when all they do is go up from here. We got Shakin' Around. This one came out, I'm pretty sure this came out between Red Light and Moanin'. It's an EP. It's got 5 tracks on it. I like this one, little one. It's like a DLC to Moanin'. That's kind of a, I know I'm gonna put it like this stupid gamer terms in it or whatever, but this record feels like a DLC to Moanin'. It's just a nice little amuse-bouche, you know what I mean? But Moanin' is like when things really start to turn kind of classic. Let's get to that. Moanin' was the album that I was introduced to Mr. Airplane Man with. Jesus on the Main Line was the song. A friend of mine was hearing that I was getting into the Delta Blues and attempting to play it, failing quite miserably, and gave me a link to Jesus on the Main Line. Jesus on the Main Line is a brilliant cover of a blues standard and classic, and it led to me getting this album. And this album is like one of those albums that's like autobiographical. Like, if you ever have an album in your life, I have dozens of them that you can just like plaster to a time in your life. This one is one of them, and like the era of like 2010 to 2012 in Boston, when I was living there and working with my band. And you know, this album like nails that sort of mid-20s, I'm an artist in a big city trying to find my way through, you know, love and labor and life, and trying to hone my craft, whether that be artistic or professional or both, and trying to find my way in the world. And this album just fucking nails the feeling of it. Their stripped down style allows them to communicate a sort of malaise that would be less easy to do when you have more to do in a band. They've got a drummer and a slide guitar player, and they sing. And of course on the records they do a little bit more production than that, but when it comes to the actual songwriting itself, it's got to stand on that merit alone. They've got to be able to play that shit on stage. And these songs, I mean, this is like one of the great, in my estimation as the fucking NECA king, okay? This is one of the greatest albums that has ever been produced by humans. This is absolutely essential listening for an American person in their 20s, like finding themselves. Love this shit. And it's done through like this drony, ethereal, bluesy garage rock. Like it's hard to describe their style because it exists in this like pensive little corner of the musical vocabulary. and it's so good. But anyway, that's Moanin'. Love Moanin'. Come On DJ, okay? Sequel to Moanin'. Kind of a departure style, not a departure stylistically, but a growth into something a little more aggressive, a little more full. You can tell from this album that they were that they've been playing on stage a lot at this point. And that they were learning how to interact with an audience through their music, and this music reflects. I don't know. That's just my assumption from the sound of this. Is that the songs on this record are way more confident in an aggressive way, like in a good way, and it takes the sound in a more kind of aggressive tone. It's a little more radio friendly. It's louder. It's louder than Moanin'. I think maybe their loudest album that I have that I own. The most like the Stooges. Like at this point, we're hearing a lot more of the Stooges than we are of like the Delta Blues stuff. And for a long time, this was like their last album that I knew of. This was their last album as far as I was concerned, because they had like broken up or taken an indefinite split. And so as far as I knew, this was it for them. For many, many years, these 4 records that I'm showing you were the last ones that I had, the last ones that I thought I was ever going to get. And shortly after I moved home from New Mexico, to my wondering surprise, because I never got to see Mr. Airplane Man live. They actually like broke up around the time I was becoming musically active in Boston. And so I moved away from Boston, and I thought that was, I'd never see or hear from Mr. Airplane Man again. And then when I came back, they had released this, which was Jacaranda Blue. And somehow I ended up with 2 copies of this, okay? I ordered 1, and I ended up with 2. You know how sometimes like you just accidentally get a double fulfillment? And it won't. It's like the bank has made an error in your favor or whatever. But yeah, for some reason the album covers are really different. It's got a blue vinyl in it, but I'm suspicious as to why they're different. I've never figured out why. I'm guessing that they just had like slight variations in the printing, and some were a different color than others. I know that the CDs are different colors, so they probably played around with the color palette a lot, and I don't know why one of them is orange and one of them isn't. I've gone on eBay and I've seen like slight color variations. I'm assuming that maybe there's no 2 copies that are alike of this. I don't know. Either or, great album. When this came out, I was like very satisfied with it, but I thought of it as like, you know how when a band that you love releases an album after a while, and you are like, yeah, that's pretty good. Man, that's pretty good. They really kind of got back to it a little bit. That was decent. I enjoyed that. That's what I thought of this at first when it came out. And then as with time, it grew on me. And what I realized is that this album is Moanin', but like grown up. Like if Moanin' was the album of your 20s, this is the album of like your late 30s, right? Anyway, I mean, I'm projecting onto it, obviously. It's being a little autobiographical, but like this is what like Moanin' sounds like when it's grown up. It's more laid back, while at the same time being more confident. It covers the same kind of like wanderlust type feeling. Like that's kind of like a feeling that I always get when I'm listening to Mr. Airplane Man. It's this feeling of wanderlust and being like kind of in awe of the world and in love with the world, but you got the blues, you know what I mean? And life kind of it's really fucking tough and lonely, and you all you got is your friends and family, you know what I mean? And it's tough, man, and that's what this music expresses. And Jacaranda Blue takes the sort of feeling that Moanin' had, and I think makes it a little more mature, a little smoother. It's like when you find a better gin, you know what I mean? Like a smoother gin, and you still love your Bombay Sapphire. Like Moanin's like your, actually maybe Moanin' is like the 3 o'clock. What is it like I found a gin that was called like 4 o'clock or something like that. Maybe Moanin' is like that, and this is like your Bombay Sapphire. Actually, that would make sense because the record itself is like clear and blue. But it's just smooth, and the sound is great, and the production is perfect, and it's such a vibe. This record is such a vibe. It's so killer. You put it on, have a fucking have a shot of Bombay Sapphire. Make yourself a gin and tonic. Fucking roast one, okay? Put this on. My kids love this, by the way. Speaking of talking of drinking and roasting one while you listen to this, my little kids love this record. My son, when he was like first born, he would love to vibe to this record. He was so into music on the record player, and this one would just put him into like a trance. And now I like to put this record on when I'm like cleaning the house after, like, I'm doing dishes, and the kids are running around, and Caitlin's doing her work in her room, and I'm like, cleaning up after dinner, put this record on and vibe to it. It's just like so chill and positive, and like, I don't know, man. I love this record. This might be my favorite Mr. Airplane record. For so many years it was Moanin', but like, I don't know. This one really stays with me, and I when I put this one on, it makes me really feel a certain way. But anyway, I can't go on about it too long because I don't want to make another 20-minute long episode like I did for Black Sabbath and Pink Floyd, but I'll take a 15-minute long episode like I did for Kitty Wells. But anyway, I love I've always loved Mr. Airplane Man. I've always loved Margaret Garrett's guitar playing, and I always wish that I had like tracked her down when I lived in Boston and forced her to give me guitar lessons and give me like mentorship. But I was a fucking mediocre loser when it came to my music in Boston, so I never did anything cool like that. I just wrote punk songs about zombies and hung out with my friends at the Midway Cafe. But anyway, Mr. Airplane Man, listen to their music, listen to Moanin', listen to Jacaranda Blue, buy some of their records. I don't have all of them. There are a few that I need to still obtain. One of them is a compilation record from their record company back when they were still on the record company with the White Stripes. And it's called It Takes Two, Baby. And it's a album, I think, of all bands that had two members. And yes, White Stripes were on the same record label as Mr. Airplane Man, and they did make music with them and at the same time as them, and they did steal their vibe, and they did steal their style, and they don't deserve to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Mr. Airplane Man deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've said my piece, Chrissy.
I told you I had the flu.
I said my piece, Chrissy.
Great.
All right? Anyway, thank you, Tara. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you for being one of... there are so many musical acts out there who aren't like world famous musical acts, or I mean, Mr. Airplane Man probably are considered world famous, but like household name musical acts that are the best you've ever heard at what they do, and they're so fucking great. They never get their recognition, and I kissed the ass of a lot of mainstream artists in the halls of the NECA King because I love mainstream artists. I'm like Patrick Bateman with my with my musical taste. I'm like, have you heard Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell? It is one of the seminal records of the 1970s. Like, I fucking love mainstream shit, like on a visceral level. But Mr. Airplane Man is just too talented for that. They can't be accepted by the masses because the masses are full of fucking idiots. So anyway, thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Tara, for being one of the best bands of all time. Keep on rocking. I will see you down the trail. This is the NECA King in the halls of the NECA King, and I will catch you later.